Hi, my name is Michael Han. I'm in charge of the Systems Business Unit at Rectron. I briefly want to touch on the Symantec 2009 range of products, specifically the Norton series. As everyone knows, Symantec's Norton range consists of Norton Antivirus, Norton Internet Security, and then the Norton 360 2.0 product. What's nice about the new range is it's a huge breakaway from the previous series. If you look at installation time as your first view of the different product, you have an installation time on some machine that's as little as 40 seconds, but the average time being about a minute. That's unheard of, and the other thing that it really does that people seem to get really confused about and don't know what's happened is it doesn't reboot your PC. Once it's installed, it starts itself, it runs, and that's it.
Quite right, yes.
So some users have been slightly confused as to what's going on. They take the disk out, they put it back in, they click the install again, but the product's literally running. So when it runs again, we ask them if they want to uninstall. So that's confused a few people, but installation time on the product is absolutely fantastic. It uses imaging technology similar to things like Norton Ghost that makes a backup image. So imaging technology is much quicker when it comes to installation because it puts the files in the drive, decompresses them, and it shortens installation time drastically. The other thing that people have always been slightly jaded about is memory usage. Virus packages used to take up way too much system memory. Symantec's 2009 products, they don't. The Norton series is very, very light on memory, using as little as 7 meg at any given time on your machine, as opposed to some machines that use 50, 100, whatever the memory usage is, it is extremely tiny. So the impact on your performance is fairly minimal. Boot time scan has been reduced, so your boot time after installation is very minimally impacted. The other thing it has that's also fairly useful is a scan time reduction in a product called Norton Insight. It scans your files on your machine, your exe files, it references them to a database and flags the files as safe. Obviously, it'll protect those files, but if it ever needs to scan them, it'll scan them, but it doesn't scan them unless it absolutely has to. So it reduces scan times quite drastically. And in looking at the reduction of the scan time, some scans can take as little as a minute and a half. The longest scan with Insight could probably take 20 to 30 minutes. That's for a full system scan, but your short, quick system scans are extremely fast. Anywhere, like I said, as little as a minute and a half, up to about half an hour for a full system scan, as opposed to the old days where a quick system scan would take 10, 15 minutes, and a full system scan would take a couple of hours. So you could go for a break, coffee, movie, date, whatever you needed to.
And it would slow down your PC at the same time.
And it would slow down your machine at the same time. The nice thing about the scans in the new Norton is the minute you click the minimize button, a little pop-up will come up and ask you if you want to reduce the scan performance so that you can use the machine and it'll be responsive. And then when you maximize the window, it'll then go back to full performance on the scan. So the scans are fairly interactive in that it'll ask you if you want the scan to slow down, if you want to work. And if you don't want to work, it'll just run. When your machine is idle, it'll also do all the background tasks when your machine's not being used. Previously, even if you were using the machine, it would stop working. But now, it waits for you to finish, it waits for the machine to be idle. So Norton pops up and asks you what you want to do, and then if you're not doing anything, it'll tell you that it's performing background tasks. When you move the mouse or do something, the background tasks pause, and off you go. It's something to do with what some users like to call silent mode. So Symantec have a silent mode on it, so it's very unobtrusive, doesn't get in the way, and most of the time you hardly see it actually working. Whereas compared to only when a system scan comes up will you see the scan window. Other than that, you hardly hear from it.
And it's got that little resource graph.
It does, yes. It tells you what your system is using as opposed to what Norton is using, so people can see what kind of CPU usage and memory usage the Norton product is actually doing versus what they think it's doing.
And it's quite minimal.
It's fairly minimal, yes.
How have the resellers and the dealers reacted to the new Norton product?
If you look at the reaction in the market, obviously Symantec is making a lot of noise around the new Norton products. There's a lot of reviews happening. The reviews have been very good reviews for Symantec and the Norton product range. And it's going to take people a little bit of time to get used to it, but the changes are well worth taking a look at the product again, especially people that have been jaded before. Once they've experienced the product, even if it's on a friend's machine or they've seen reviews, the product is well worth having a look at compared to previous iterations of the product.
So it'll change your perception of Symantec and Norton, I think, quite a bit, because it certainly has mine.
It will change their perceptions quite a bit. The perception is obviously going to change with word of mouth. Once people use the product and experience it, they're going to speak to people about it and say it's a big change, evangelizing the product themselves. And once people have heard about it, they're going to be tempted to give it a try. And this is the kind of product that you just have to try once, and it's going to change your perception completely. And moving forward, the products can only get better from here.
Yeah.
And as for the naysayers, you're always going to have them, but once they've tried it, it's going to be completely different again. There's always going to be someone that's going to berate a product because of their personal opinion. And everyone's entitled to their personal opinion. But my advice to everyone is, this is a product you have to try.
Yeah.
It's completely different. It changed my perceptions of antivirus and internet security software. People that like to use the free software, this is the kind of product that's well worth its money. And then some.
And of course, you've also got the thing of being able to install it on 3 separate PCs.
And of course, you can install it on 3 separate PCs in your house.